you want to know how the story ends, you probably have to ask one of my friends. If I live to tell the tale, the only way we're here is in a county jail. I might be wrong, this I might not tell it, just if I remembered it right. I need one for breakfast, two for dessert. 5, 6, 7, but that don't work. I got up so high, I never came down. It's hard to see clear when it hits in the clouds, and every day I wait, thinking I can't wait. No, I can't wait till I can't see straight. I'm on drinking again.
Hi, hello, and welcome.
Hi.
To our little podcast that we've just started.
Yeah.
I'm Evan Pride.
I'm Treyton Blackburn.
Hello.
Hi.
So we've started a podcast.
We have.
We've gone and done it.
I guess we both didn't have much better to do
No.
at this point.
Coronavirus has ended the world.
Yeah.
And it's led us into a bunker where we just must speak to each other.
Right. And we thought.
I remembered what I was going to do.
Well, it was
I was
really professional for the first one out of the gate.
Yeah. I was gonna change.
Also, future warning: the obnoxious laughter will not stop from my end.
No, yes. Treyton's goat, witchy goat laugh will infect this entire podcast and hold us back from any margin of success.
Right.
I was changing the color on this cloud above us.
Yeah.
Yes. We're recording this in my room.
Yeah.
In Lexington, Kentucky. I go to the University of Kentucky. Treyton, you.
I am an alumnus of the University of Kentucky.
It's where we met. As theater majors.
Yeah, we were theater students.
Yes. We'll get into that later. But yeah, so we're recording from my room in Lexington. I'm a senior here, and I'm sitting under a lovely cloud in my room. A green cloud.
Just a beautiful fart cloud.
Yes. It's that my lovely girlfriend Emily made me for my birthday. And it has several different colors. And I figured it was great to introduce this auditory podcast with a visual element
yeah,
of the cloud.
I mean, it's really one of the things that I've always thought about podcasting as a medium is just the beauty that comes with the exclusion of the audience's experience. I really think that is kind of the defining trait of what makes a beautiful, wonderful podcast.
Yes, the listeners can go fuck themselves. All the most successful podcasts have that. So the reason we're doing this show is because we're both, getting into the entertainment field.
Mm-hmm.
Best to start getting our voices out there, but we are both from Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
You are from Pikeville.
Yeah. I'm from Pikeville, Kentucky.
Appalachia.
Yeah, deep in Appalachia. The latch
Yes.
is the correct pronunciation, and anyone who tells you differently lies.
Yeah, I've heard it so much from you for all these years that I forget the other way people pronounce it. Appalachia is the
other pronunciation.
Okay, so
that is wrong. That is unequivocally just a falsehood that is perpetuated by evil people.
But isn't it a Kentucky thing that our places are all pronounced? They all have different pronunciations, and they're from, and the correct way, like Versailles in Kentucky,
is Versailles.
It's Versailles, but it's Versailles.
Exactly.
If you
that's
call
what the locals call it.
Yeah. If you call it Versailles, you'll get smacked from someone from Versailles. Same with Appalachia.
If you say Appalachia, I'll throw an Appalachia.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the way to remember it.
Yeah.
And it's actually a misconception. I know, because a lot of people defend it by that's what the locals call it, which is true for the most part. But there actually are, I know a few people in the community that do call it Appalachia, like people who are from the regions who call it that.
Well, they're different. This is specifically Eastern Kentucky, Pikeville, where you're from. There's different the Appalachian Mountains stretch from New
York to Alabama.
I
believe that's how far they stretch.
There are a lot of them in Tennessee. West Virginia is only mountains, right?
I think there might be a little sliver of West Virginia over on the eastern side that is absent the Appalachian Mountains, but I'm not 100% on that.
100%.
It's a lot though. It's a lot of mountains if you look there, like looking at the Appalachian Mountain Range on a map, you see Kentucky, you see West Virginia, and you see Virginia. Pike County is sort of the horn of Kentucky, as they call it. And so, like, that is kind of, I'm from the central Appalachians, which is sort of the sort of origin of the cultural milieu that is often subscribed to the Appalachian Mountain Range.
Okay, you're very close to the Cumberland Gap.
I'm actually
not very close,
right,
but
yeah.
you're down by that area. You were telling me about it one time, that your area and around the Cumberland Gap, that's where people first came into the West, or what they called the West back in the old days.
Yeah, well, I mean, other than, of course, the indigenous peoples, there were a lot of
yeah.
Cherokee tribes.
They were hanging out here before.
Yeah, but here's actually an interesting little piece of history about Pike County specifically. Is a lot of indigenous tribes didn't settle in the area around Pike County because of the terrain. It was really difficult to make permanent settlements that would last because of water and difficulty traveling and animals, and it was just really hard to make settlements there. The place I went to elementary school actually was one of the very first places that they discovered remnants of a permanent native or indigenous settlement.
Okay.
In the region.
So it makes sense that you were schooled on the remains of an Indian burial ground.
Correct.
Yeah.
That is,
or a Native American burial ground.
exactly. That is
say.
Yeah. It was really weird because they had a display in the school that had all these artifacts from the settlement that your grubby kindergarten hands were on the glass.
They were passing it around at lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. People were picking their teeth with it.
Yeah, and so infamously Daniel Boone, a lot of people say that Daniel Boone, Pike County was the first place he ever set foot into the state of Kentucky, which is true.
Yeah, that's where he got that raccoon that he put on his head.
yeah. That raccoon was my great-grandfather, actually.
That makes sense.
But what is fascinating about that, what people never say, is that Boone hated the region that I'm from. He hated being there. He went there one time in, I think it was the 1760s. It was even before the Revolutionary War, if I remember correctly. And he got there. He was with his brother Squire Boone, Jr., and they stayed there for one winter on what was called a long hunt.
Squire Boone Caverns over kind of eastern Kentucky.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I've never heard of those.
That's where we used to take field trips.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was the mega caverns and was it Mammoth Cave? I should say
Mammoth Cave is in western Kentucky.
I should say that I'm from Louisville, or Louisville. It's another one of those places that has a million different pronunciations, but I call it Louisville. I guess the correct pronunciation is Louisville.
Louisville.
Yeah, that's what the Louisvillians call it. But it was named after King Louis, so it's Louisville. But that's what out of state y'all non-Louisville folk call it.
Yeah.
But my parents are originally from Western Kentucky, kind of Union County area, and so they grew up with I guess Louisville being the big city, so they called it Louisville, I think, growing up. I might just be projecting that history onto them, but
no, I've always called it Louisville.
Yeah, so I grew up hearing it just a million different ways,
right?
And so I always catch shit from people from the way I say it.
So when I was
so Squire Boone was the caverns that we would go to, in Louisville.
Yeah.
Or from Louisville.
But anyway, so he was there with Squire Boone Jr., and they were on this long hunt in the middle of the winter. And in his journals, he wrote something to the effect of,
This place is a piece of shit.
Yeah, not the exact quote, but he said, "If I ever escape from this place, I will never come back again." And it's true, he never did. The next time he journeyed into Kentucky...
That's Kentucky's state motto, right?
Yeah, I never escaped from this place. I'll never come back. But what he did going to Kentucky for the rest of his life, he traveled south almost to Tennessee and went through the Cumberland Gap and came up into central Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So to avoid the Appalachian Mountains entirely.
Went down, got some of that Tennessee whiskey.
Exactly. Tennessee is the worst state in the Union. I don't care who hears this from Tennessee.
In the Union, they seceded, didn't they?
They're back. From what I heard,
they're
they
back.
Actually,
Wait a minute.
they joined back up.
Wait, the southern states joined back up?
It's sometimes hard to tell, but
Are you telling me the war's over?
well, actually,
Luis!
the war's over. No, well, Georgia just came back last week. Roundabout, maybe a little over a week ago.
Oh, yeah.
Georgia actually just came back to the
Oh,
Union,
yeah.
so
At the time of this.
That's really good. A
Yeah.
timely reference.
At the time of this recording, there was a recent election.
There was.
So I guess the idea of the conception behind this podcast is you're from Eastern Kentucky. I'm from Western Kentucky originally, but was really grew up in Louisville.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of a urbanite, city slickers, suburbs kid. And you grew up in a holler. Right?
I lived on the main road, thank you. I did not grow up in a holler. My wife grew up on a holler. I want to point that out, be very clear. I lived on the main road. But like, you went to Catholic school.
Yes.
And I used an outhouse. So in that way we're different, you and I.
Yeah, Louisville is one of the most Catholic areas in the U.S. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I cite secondhand memory, but no, I heard that from some, and it makes sense because all the major Catholic schools are kind of I don't want to say that they're not the top schools, but
right.
but they're very popular. It seems like the whole archdiocese of Louisville is kind of put in this Catholic school system, and I guess there's a lot of Catholic schools. There's like several different all guys high schools. There's several all girls high schools. I went to one of those all guys high schools. So, and then there's a whole bunch of grade schools that are Catholic. So I grew up in a very Catholic world.
Well, that's fascinating to me because I didn't meet my first a Catholic person until I was in college.
Interesting.
Yeah, I come from a very Protestant evangelical area of the country. We had one Catholic church.
What branch of Protestant?
Just all kinds. I grew up in the Pentecostal church.
Okay. You guys got like Lutherans out there?
No Lutherans. We've got
Methodists.
Methodists. There's a good portion of Methodists.
My dad's side of the family was Methodist.
Southern Baptists.
Yeah, a lot of Southern Baptists. I'd imagine. Yeah,
a lot of Southern Baptists. What is called an Old Regular Baptist. My wife grew up in the Old Regular Baptist Church.
The title of the church was the
Old
Regular.
Regulars. Yeah, the Old Regular Baptist Church. It was they're a profoundly strict branch of the faith, and they they're wild. Their services go on for 4 to 5 hours.
Oh yeah, just like the old regular people.
Just like the old regulars. Yeah, you don't have to beat the old regulars to the Mexican restaurant after church because they'll be in there for 2 or 3 more hours. A lot of Church of Christ.
The Church of Science.
No. Believe me, there's no science.
Science doesn't
within
reach
a 500
the mountains.
mile radius of my hometown.
That was a church I saw out in Western Kentucky a lot. But yeah, a lot of Catholic. It's so weird because growing up I thought Kentucky was all Catholics.
No,
I thought the whole world was Catholics growing up.
That's what they tell me, but
that's what I was taught in school.
We had one Catholic church in Pikeville. I think it was St. Joseph
Mm-hmm.
And it it closed down. There was like
For reasons.
I don't know. We drove by one day and there was a for sale sign in front of the only Catholic church in town.
We know what happens
Yeah,
for
I
those to
guess.
close down.
But there's
a lot of
also
that in Louisville.
there's also a Catholic church or a Catholic school in Pikeville called St. Francis of Assisi.
Yeah, we have that.
But the interesting thing is most of the kids that go to the school, if not all, are Protestants. It's a bunch of Protestant kids going to Catholic school in southeastern Kentucky.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
We had a couple Protestant kids, but in Catholic school. But I was just jealous of them because they didn't have to do the homework required to go through the sacraments. Like
Yeah.
we had all this. Had all this reconciliation homework. And we were studying before we got the bread wafer thing. What was that called?
The
Communion.
body of Christ.
The body of Christ. The communion
Yeah.
was the thing. Yeah, we were stressed out about a baptism exam coming up, and
the baptism exam.
all the Protestant kids. All the Protestant kids were just in the back of the class with their feet up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is a baptism exam? Can you explain that to me?
It's a joke, Treyton. Move on.
Oh, got it. 100%.
We are from very different parts
Very
of the
different
same
cultures.
state. Yes,
Yeah.
and we should get into how we met.
Yeah, how we...
So first of all, explain. I'll speak for Treyton. Treyton is a very, very talented director, just theater practitioner. You're very interested in the history of things and different styles, and you draw from a lot of things. And I've been in a couple of your productions, and you make great art.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. It's very kind.
that is your background.
Yeah.
You are more of an artist. Who deals in very particular subjects.
I do.
I'll let you get it. I'm more of a fartist. You know, I have I have a background in theater and acting and singing and stuff, but I'm mainly kind of focused on writing comedy, stand up. I do stand up at open mics around Kentucky, and that's kind of why. We're getting into the podcast world. We both listen to podcasts.
We do. We're
big fans.
Big podcast fans as a form.
We thought we would throw another podcast into the world.
That's what the world needs right now.
Another podcast.
Yeah,
we're fixing everything.
We're not in vaccine development, so this is the next best thing we could come up with.
No, didn't they announce the vaccine like 2 days after the election?
I don't know anything anymore.
Kind of sus.
After the election, I've been on a politics break.
Yeah.
From what I understand, a coup d'état may be happening, but
from what I understand, we might have a revolution under our belt. But
yeah. From what I understand. But,
I think this whole nation needs a politics break.
I'll hop back in after Thanksgiving, I guess, to see what's going on. To see if,
yeah.
But until then, Evan is a very, very talented performer, and I think an artist in his own right. I think he's selling himself a little short, but he's a very talented vocalist, a very, very talented comedian. He's very interested in media and the ways that media can be used in new and different ways, which I find very exciting. He's also just a master at character work and putting together really holistic, complex characters.
I like this thing we're doing where we're introducing each other and hyping each other up.
Yeah, being each other's hype man. No, I mean, Evan's a worthless piece of shit, obviously.
Yeah.
And I don't care for him very much.
Treyton's a piece of dog shit as well. Tell
him what you thought the first time you ever saw me. I think that's actually a more interesting story.
So the first time I ever met Treyton, Treyton's a couple years older than me. I was a senior in high school, and I was graduating soon, and I knew I was going to UK, so I and they had posted an announcement online that they were doing Little Shop of Horrors.
Amazing show.
Which is it's just a great show. I mean, if you're into musical theater or not, it's just a fun show. The movie version has Rick Moranis, who apparently has a very punchable face.
Oh, poor Rick Moranis. That's actually awful. That happened.
Just the character of Seymour is a punchable character.
Yeah,
so it makes sense that I was cast in that role. Yeah. So how it happened was I just drove down to UK and I was auditioning, and there was this kid kind of pacing around the auditions, and just in any sort of audition environment, there's if you've done enough of them, which I just did, high school and college auditions, so I'm not a well-versed actor or anything, but there's always that one kid who auditions for everything and doesn't get cast in anything, or he gets cast but he's just kind of like a background character, or but everybody loves him. He means well, and he's just kind of he's not disruptive enough for people to dislike him, and that's what I thought I saw. The first time I saw Treyton, I thought it was the real life version of Randall from Monsters Inc. taking human form, collecting children's screams, which was a pretty fair first impression. But you were just walking over, monologuing, like just shucking and jiving with everybody, and I was like, this kid. I was like, who the hell is this guy? I know I was like 18, and like everybody there was like 21 or 22, and I was like, who the fuck is this little little brat?
And from my perspective, I'll tell you. So like I have a pretty substantial background in puppetry.
Yes.
And for anybody who knows anything about Little Shop of Horrors, you know that there are a number of puppets in that show. And
I did not know it. Now looking back, of course you're a puppeteer.
Of course I'm a puppeteer. Yeah. But I had already spoken to the director of the play, and I already knew that I would be in the show somewhere because I was puppeteering, and she would use me in the ensemble somewhere. I was just more auditioning for a role. But Evan shared this story with me after we were both in the show. And and just understanding how you're perceived is it's hard sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I got that role, and then I was, or at least from my perception, and I understand it to be true in some fashion, but I was hated coming into the department. They're like, who the fuck is this little fat freshman who came in and got this role. So I felt like there was a target on my back when I was walking, and of course, I got in, and everybody was charming and pleasury and or whatever. But I remember when I realized that one like I didn't, when I saw your name on the cast list, I didn't even register that was who that little rat kid was.
Yeah.
And then when I saw you in rehearsal, I was like, oh, is he like coming in to help clean or whatever? and then you got on stage, and then we started doing the scene where Seymour's like, he's singing with a puppet or whatever, and you were doing like this full body puppeteering, and even though your face would have been obscured in the puppet costume, you're still making all these expressions and all these grins and shit, and I was like, oh, this guy's actually probably talented. I forgot that talented people are weird.
Yeah. Well, and one of the proudest moments of my life, you remember, because in that production I played, for those of you who know the show, probably a little ostracizing for people who don't, but there's a scene where Seymour is approached by all of these agents from various like media agencies toward the end of the show, and because I wasn't puppeteering at that time, I was all three of the agents, Bernstein, Mrs. Luce, and Skip Snip.
Skip Snip. That's what my
Skip Snip, yeah.
that's what my dad calls you. Skip Snip.
I love your dad. He's so great. But anyway, the first time Evan and I did that song together, the way I remember it, and it was we had done music rehearsals. We had sung through it before to get it on its feet. But the first time we were blocking through it, and I came out with my 3 characters. Evan just couldn't take it. Evan was like, I can't. We've got to take a break from this because I can't handle this. And it was that moment where I was like, here we go. That's how we want to do it.
Yeah. So we met during that show, but then we went on. We did a couple other shows together. We did Henry V together.
Yeah, Henry V by William Shakespeare.
Good time. And then I remember during the time of Little Shop that UK's theater department also has like this little studio season, which is kind of student produced shows.
Yep.
And there was one called The Fisherman's Wife that was that was premiering, and I didn't even know that you were directing it. I just went and saw it.
I mean, how did anybody not know that I was the one directing that show?
A freshman who had no clue what was going on in the department, and I'll describe Fisherman's Wife. The subtitle.
A sex farce with sea creatures.
Yeah,
is the subtitle.
Yeah, and so I came in. It was my birthday. They pulled me out of the audience and essentially publicly molested me while singing Happy Birthday with a guitar.
You shouldn't have been there.
I shouldn't have been there.
You shouldn't have been there. You should have been somewhere else enjoying yourself.
It was a great fun time. But yeah, so it was the show that Treyton directed, where it was. It kind of dealt with. I mean, I'll let you get into it. But so Treyton, he deals with a lot of like taboo. You're very interested in the idea of sex on stage and dramatizations.
Well,
and
even more so than that, I'm interested in topics that make people uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In my life, there's very little that actually makes me uncomfortable.
I would agree.
So
I'd agree for myself.
Yeah. And that's like something that you and I think have both developed through a lifetime of
harassment.
Yeah, and so I directed a lot of plays that dealt with these really uncomfortable issues, sex among them, but like I also did a lot with religion and violence and things of that nature. And I'm very interested in the why to things that make us uncomfortable. So Fisherman's Wife was a tackle on sexuality in a lot of ways. It's about a husband and a wife who are going through a lag in their marriage until a traveling sex toy salesman and a giant squid and a giant octopus get involved.
Yes.
And
naturally.
And hilarity ensues.
Yeah.
So I directed this play. It was my second big work in the studio season. I'd done Clown Bar by Adam Sienkiewicz the year prior, which was a huge dissection of like comedy and violence and why do we find violence funny a great deal of the time. And actually, my third big play in the studio season was a tackling of religion and family and sort of the southern thing.
Put that mic a little closer.
Oh, sorry. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Anyway, but the next year, I did a sort of takedown of religion and family and the southern thing with a play called Hand to God by Robert Askins that was on Broadway.
Yes.
And Evan got cast in that show as the lead. He was it was about this kid who his mom was a Sunday school teacher, and it was a puppet ministry, which is actually pretty common in the American South. And Evan's character, his puppet, gets possessed by the devil.
Indeed.
And just like public kudos to you. I mean, you did some incredible work with that puppet.
Yeah. So
in that show.
we did the show Hand to God, and I had heard about it before. I had, even before you even were talking about doing it, just because I knew it was just like this raunchy puppet, and the idea of raunchy puppets and just absurd situations like that. It's really my comedic forte. I don't know if I'm using that word correctly.
Yeah, whatever.
I know in
It's our
music it
show.
means loud. That's my comedic loud.
You comedic loud. Got it.
But I kind of like just absurd situations like that. That's why I love South Park
Agreed.
and these kinds of shows. And so I had a lot of fun with that show, because what we did was we had this puppet made.
Yep.
And we didn't make it. Who made it? Sarah Zoller.
So Sarah Zoller, who is an amazing prop master.
Yes.
What happened was, over Christmas break, I sort of made a prototype for this sock puppet, but I needed it to have arms and stuff. So I took my prototype to Sarah, and I told her that I wanted arms and clothes on it, and I needed, like, the puppet gets more and more demonic throughout the course of the show. So we needed several different models of it, and she and I collaborated a lot on the design of how he got made. But did we have the first model, V1? Did we have it ready for auditions? I can't remember if we did or not.
Yes, we did.
I
You
thought
were
so.
you were walking around with it at auditions.
Cool,
it wasn't
good.
fully done yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have the prototype for it.
Yeah, so we built this puppet, and I was really looking for somebody who would do the work of the puppetry experience, and Evan was, once I did callbacks, Evan was really a shoe-in for the role, and I was so desperately in love with the work he had done, even for the callbacks. And
I had put in a lot of work in just trying to figure out how to, because I wanted that role so badly.
Yeah.
To this day, it's been my favorite role probably that I've ever done. And yeah, that show was really tough, because it was learning to puppeteer, and essentially learning and developing these two completely different characters that were talking from the same mouth.
Yep.
And me talking with it, and we had several fight sequences
with the puppet,
and I mean, the production value for this show being a student a student show was really through the roof. I mean, you really used way too much of your money of your own money for it, but it was an awesome show. There was blood going everywhere. Things were
an ear got ripped off.
Things were flying upside down, and we were chucking things all over the place.
Huge stage-wide projections of just crazy demonic shit.
Yeah,
it was wild.
It was a really good time.
Bare ass.
Yeah. And then of course, outside of rehearsals for the show, I would just kind of live with this puppet on my hand.
Yeah.
Truly going insane. Anyone who knew me at the time.
Well, I tell you,
I was just walking around with a puppet on my hand, and of course, this puppet is obsessed. He's possessed by the devil.
Yeah.
So he has license to say whatever he wants,
and
he's a puppet. He's so cute and cuddly.
Yeah. Very Elmo-y.
Very Elmo-y, and this was the voice that I did for him. And I'd say, "Hey, sugar doll." I wasn't catcalling people, but hey, but Tyrone was the name of
Tyrone was
the
the
puppet.
name of the puppet. Yeah,
he had his own Instagram for a little bit.
He did. Very successful, the promos for that show.
Yeah,
very successful promotional stuff.
People were excited for that show.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
It was a lot of fun.
But yeah, so that's kind of where I think a lot of our friendship and our artistic sensibility really got cohesive, was through the process of that show, I would say.
Yeah. And then since then, we've spent some time together. I just think we have a good chemistry, and we both hate each other but love each other even more.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think so this podcast has to be successful, and all the listeners, we're not doing anything wrong.
No, yeah,
so
this is perfect.
This is
exactly
perfect.
what it should be.
Yeah. So if this doesn't work out, it's your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
you, the 3 listeners of us.
Yeah. Whoever, probably Emily.
Yeah, Emily, your wife.
Yeah.
And
Nancy?
yeah, probably.
yeah, probably Nancy.
So let's talk a little about just Kentucky. So
Kentucky,
this
bluegrass state.
Yeah. So it should be noted that at the time of this recording, we do not know what the name of this podcast
is going to be.
So it's got to have something like Bluegrass Boys or
Banjo Brothers
or something to do with
Moonshine Mamas. Yeah. Something like that.
The horse hecklers.
The horse hecklers. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We really are just young versions of the old Muppets that sit in the balcony.
Yeah. 100%.
Kentucky, this is this place that we're both seeking out futures in entertainment. It's kind of weird being from states like this where if you want to succeed, you kind of, or at least on a larger scale, if you want to be like a nationwide success, you have to get out of the state.
Yeah.
That's a weird thing.
I think it's tough because I have a great deal of affection for Kentucky. I'm a proud Kentuckian. I'm a proud Appalachian.
I am as well. People, states like Kentucky and Alabama and Mississippi.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking on those. Those could be shitbag states. But,
yeah,
but
right.
Kentucky, at least, the nationwide perception. What we have Mitch McConnell.
Yeah, who's the worst?
Who's the worst? We have just the most corrupt career politician
in the whole nation.
In the whole nation, repping us. And then outside of that, we have the Derby, which is once a year. So people kind of hear my old Kentucky home once.
Yeah.
And then from that, we have mint juleps.
Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah, he's from Appalachia.
He is. I've been to the place where he went to high school.
And then, of course, Louisville is the home of the greatest of all time, Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Yes,
100%.
Yeah, I was in Louisville when he died, and
really?
I was on Bardstown Road in Louisville, and his funeral procession was rolling by, and I was like, what? And apparently, like, just downtown or whatever, they had like this big this gathering for him, and like Bill Clinton was talking there, and just all these big names, and I was like, wait, they're all in these cars rolling by? Wait, that's the champ's body.
That's the champ right there.
Yeah, floating like a butterfly down the street. Yeah. But he's buried because he's Muslim. He's buried in Cave Hill Cemetery.
Yeah.
He's not buried there because he's Muslim, but he's buried there because it's one of the largest cemeteries in downtown Louisville.
Wow.
It's in the Highlands, but because of his Muslim faith, his grave there, I've never seen it in person, but it's like supposedly very modest.
Oh wow.
And it's not like some big rocky
Rocky
statue
Balboa
of him. But apparently that's part of it. He's got a very humble grave, which seems fitting. So
that's cool.
Louisville, we're kind of known for him.
Yeah. Pike County and Appalachia are very well known for the Hatfields and the McCoys.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And opioids.
Yeah. Lots of meth.
Yeah, lots of meth in western Kentucky and really all over the state. I don't want to take away.
Crisis. Someone's got to do something about this. I don't know.
I don't want to take away credit to all those hardworking opioid users in Lexington and Louisville,
right?
Who
you
are
don't want to
hopelessly addicted.
Pigeonhole it there.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's it's the state that's.
You want to hear something hilarious?
Yeah.
So when I was in high school, I went to school with this girl. And she was on drugs really bad. She was like 16 years old. And I was going to the bathroom. I had to piss. I was in chemistry class. And I was like, Mutt was my chemistry teacher. I said, Mutt, I got to go piss. He said, well, boy, get out there and piss. And then he pulled a knife out on me, and I ran out of the hall. And he chased me out of the room with the knife. It was a beautiful moment between the two of us.
Yeah.
So I went to the bathroom, and I was taking my piss. And I was standing there, and I was pissing. And this girl comes in, who I knew. I went to middle school with her, and she comes in, and she's fucking gone, fucking blown out of her mind.
Yeah.
I, put my dick away. And I zipped my pants up and buttoned my jeans up. Turn around, and I'm like, hey, what the fuck are you doing in here? This is boys' bathroom. And she's like, Treyton? And I'm like, yup, that's me. And she looks me in the eye, serious as a heart attack. And she says, I'll suck your dick for a Suboxones.
Suboxones?
A Suboxone. Yeah, it's a.
Is that a?
It's a drug that you use to get off of methamphetamine, as I understand it. I've never taken the stuff myself.
Okay.
But she was like, I'll suck your dick for a Suboxones. And I was like, why would you think I have any Suboxones? Here when I'm in high school. She said, so you don't have any? And I said, no. And she said, your loss.
You're lost.
You're lost.
Yeah, and since that day, I've carried around a box of Suboxones with me just in case. You never know.
Back to chemistry class, and Mutt was like, "Treyton, are you all right? You look like you've seen a ghost." And I said, "I don't want to talk about it, Mutt. It's too much for me. It's too much. My little heart can't take anymore today."
The grades, the Louisville version of that, or at least where I went to schools, was kids sniffing Sharpies in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And vapes got really big when I was in high school.
Uh-huh.
So just but not Juuls, not like the little ones.
Big honker things.
The big whole engine blocks that would produce just like they were announcing a new pope.
Yeah,
just clouds coming out. And so
I remember the guys who would have those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they were everywhere. You would just walk through the halls, and it was all guys' school, so it was nothing but fart clouds and strawberry bananas.
Evan, let me ask you something.
Yes.
So Kentucky is perceived a lot of different ways across the nation, I think.
Mm-hmm. A mostly negative perception.
Sure, but how much of it do you think is honest, and how much of it do you think is misconception?
Well, I think because a lot of the issues and problems that Kentucky has are real problems,
mm-hmm.
and it does take over a lot of the state, and it's hard to look at the state without those glaring issues being on the front of your mind. You think of California right now. The first thing you think of is wildfires and stuff
Nancy
like that.
Pelosi.
Yeah, and just all the issues that they're having, and then you think of Hollywood. And in Kentucky, it's one of those states where, and I feel like it's this treatment of all of Middle America like flyover states, because there's not really these huge urban centers for that a lot of stuff develops out of. Most of stuff that comes from Kentucky is what? Corn, coal. Louisville is kind of, we have a couple colleges, basketball, I guess.
Yeah, basketball for
sure. Football. We're kind of that minded of a state. And so when you drive through Kentucky, I think it's a beautiful state to drive through.
I think
there's some desolate areas, but just the cornfields and especially central Kentucky. Yeah. Like here, you drive through Versailles.
Oh my gosh!
It's postcard territory. Yeah. It's just just horse farms and rolling bluegrass, and so I think it's this great state, and it's worth saving.
Yeah.
But it's got these. The public perception of it is it's wrong because it's the only perception, I feel like, on a national stage, but also to a level it's true. Well, it's that thing that like stereotypes are based in a kernel of truth.
Sure. Well, one of the things that I think about Appalachia specifically is I think for years, Appalachia specifically has had it kind of rough. Like, oh, do you wear shoes? Why is your accent so funny? You all that bullshit.
You guys do have blue people.
That is West Virginia. It has nothing to do with my community at all.
What about hillbilly days? Billy Days.
Hey, Billy Days rules. All right. Anybody who's
I've heard stories of blue people at Billy Days.
Listen, Billy Days is the only thing in the state of Kentucky where you can see a set of titties, a giant boa constrictor, and a delicious funnel cake within the same hour. Okay,
That's true.
I will not sit here and take Billy Day's slander.
The second closest is Bardstown Road.
That's right. That's true.
At 2 p.m. on a Saturday in Louisville. Yeah, there's people love to just wander the streets of Louisville with snakes.
I literally thought you were going to say
strange.
people just love to show their titties on Bardstown Road. I thought that's where we were going.
No, that's.
And I do want to be clear about.
That's more Prospect.
Yeah, I do want to be clear about the titties you're seeing at Hillbilly Days. Like, you're not going to see any quality titties.
No.
It's all bad. It's all bad titties. but you will see them.
You will see.
It will be a part of your experience. So Billy Days.
You're not seeing anything great, but you'll never forget them.
That's right.
It will be burned into
right.
the psyche of your being.
It's so funny coming to college from Pike County, because like there are people who like even like professors who have been to Pikeville for Billy Days. They're like, "You're from Pikeville," and I'm like, "Yep." And they're like, "Billy Days," and I'm like, that's right, that's right, sure is.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like all people perceive Kentucky as if it is all
Billy Days,
all
Billy Days, all the time.
Which
But that's actually what I was gonna say is I think Appalachia is going through kind of a renaissance right now, because there's this reclamation of the Appalachian identity that's going on right now throughout the mountains, started primarily by Apple Shop, which is a fantastic organization that does a lot of documentary work in recording the Appalachian narrative, and also like Appalachian diversity and things of that, and like diversity of thought and ethnic and sexual diversity throughout the region. And it's just really powerful, the work they're doing. If you guys want to donate to somebody, donate to Apple Shop. They're doing amazing work. But
you hear that? Donate to Apple Inc.
Apple Inc.
They need your help.
They need your help. The iPhone won't be out if you don't put in feed a starving Appalachian child for sure. But that's something that I feel is because like the possum has kind of become this mascot for the Appalachian identity, which is interesting. Like just this sort of gawky, goofy little critter
that plays dead.
Yeah, has become the sort of doofer mascot for the whole region. I don't know. I feel very fortunate to be living through this like portion of Appalachian culture, because of the sort of reclamation that's going on there.
Well, don't you also think that where just the global stage is shifting, you look at like the places in America where everybody has traditionally always gone to get successful because of all this COVID stuff.
Yeah.
But also on a foundation of other reasons. New York, people are leaving New York. People are leaving LA. I think people are realizing that with their own little thing, they can do it from any part of the country.
Yeah.
And you also have these regions like Atlanta
growing
from the past several years. Texas is starting to grow. This seems like a very media impression. Texas is starting to grow. You have these places like Atlanta. Do you think Kentucky could ever hold one of these cities?
Well, I think so. I think a lot of this sort of transformation is based in these sort of a reclaiming and strengthening of communities, and the unity that comes with that. So I was part of a community theater all throughout high school and even afterwards, and in southeastern Kentucky in a little town called Elkhorn City. That burned.
Sounds like a Pokemon city.
Yeah, it is. Elkhorn City.
Elkhorn City.
The gym leader.
Get the electric badge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I was I directed there, I acted there, and the building actually burned down in January, which was dreadfully horrible, just a horrible experience. But we were developing really quality work. We were incorporating like these high school kids who'd never had any exposure to the arts, and I don't know. I think it's initiatives like that. If Kentucky ever were to become have an Atlanta or an Austin in Texas, for example. I think it's going to have to start in these communities and people reclaiming and strengthening and helping these communities grow, because leaving these communities isn't going to help.
Yeah, for sure. And it's weird because I might move. I probably will move out of state one day. You're pretty Kentucky bound.
Yeah,
aren't you?
I want to be here long term for sure.
I could always see it's just a great place to live and like grow a family.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Stuff like that. For our, or at least my career, you can much better do regional theater.
Yep.
Here than you can make a career in stand up.
Right.
But so it's one of those things where you gotta leave, and you gotta, or at least I'll have to leave and you go out, but it's just it's a great place to live.
Yeah.
And I think I'm saying the same thing here in circles.
There's a quote, and I think it sums up our whole kind of conversation pretty succinctly. I can't remember who it was, but it's
I think I said it
along the lines of I've never met a Kentuckian who wasn't on his way home or thinking about going home.
Yeah.
And I think there's something beautiful in that statement. Like Kentucky,
and it's the whole thing, my old Kentucky home.
Yeah, it's like that old sort of longing for Kentucky. Like there's just something about, in my opinion, there's something about Kentucky that makes it really hard to leave. There's just something, and not to bash anybody else's home or their state or whatever, but like it's almost even a part of Kentucky culture that people from Kentucky want to be in Kentucky.
It's a very Louisville thing. People from Louisville will let you know that they're from Louisville.
Yeah.
We'll talk about our superior tap water.
Yeah.
We'll
it's the best tap water, no doubt.
Yeah. But we have a list of things that we boast about, and it's a very Kentucky thing. I remember going to the Downtown Arts Center in Louisville and watching this documentary that just kind of went through all the things that Kentucky has. It was very heavy-handed horses and stuff like that, and then Abe Lincoln and like at the end of the video, you're like, Kentucky's the greatest state in the freaking United States of America. And then I would come with that energy to some of my friends, and they'd just be like, what are you talking about, man? This place sucks.
Well, and I think similarly to Louisville, I think people from the southeastern part of the state, and even Pike County specifically, people from Pike County let you know they are from Pike County.
Yeah. Northern Kentucky too.
Yeah.
Like Florence up by Cincy, those people will let you know that they're from Northern Kentucky.
And I think there's a lot of cultural diversity in Kentucky, like more so than people give us credit for. Like the cultures are so different from Western Kentucky to Central Kentucky to Eastern Kentucky, I think.
It's 50 Shades of White. It's a lot of different types of white people.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is still diversity.
Yeah,
I
well,
guess.
And let me tell you,
and there's also a lot of Native Americans, like the Swanee,
and the Cherokee,
and
I think there's some Chickasaw. I'm not sure.
Sounds right.
But my first girlfriend, her grandmother was a full blood Cherokee. And that was like, there's a lot of, I don't know, obviously from centuries of nasty, awful colonization, there's that cultural bleed over between, the ancestors of the colonizers and the indigenous peoples, obviously. But it was, there are people in my community, and some of them are, full of shit. Some of them are just blowing shit out of their ass. And they're like, my great granddaddy was a Cherokee, and I'm 1/18 Cherokee, and just
so
that.
I carry this feather in my hair to commemorate.
Yeah, exactly. Like I wear this fringe jacket.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
My name is Running Denim.
Okay, you got me. That was good. But yeah, it's there's And I'll tell you, so Pikeville, which is the county seat of Pike County, where the courthouse is, there's actually a university there now, a public university, the University of Pikeville. And they've actually helped to increase the diversity of the community. Like, I remember I was in high school before I met my first person of color. I really and you know, that just sort of demographically. But now I go, when I'm home and I go to Walmart or something, you know, I see families of color and like the typical sort of like Donald Trump locals sort of walking around. I'm like, this is not the Pike County I grew up in. This is not the same place.
Yeah.
There's something.
It's the future, man.
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what Kentucky turns into in these coming years.
Yeah.
And you got things like more and more red states are legalizing weed.
Yep.
Do you know how huge weed would be to Kentucky's economy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like it's one of the, you know, if there's any just the climate and arid wise to grow crops like that, I think
it would be great for Appalachia's
we'd be the green
economy.
grass,
because it's some of the stuff that we can actually grow in the mountains.
Yeah, doesn't need like sunlight.
That's right.
Or anything.
And that it would be huge for us. You know, a lot of Appalachia's issues are from the exit of the coal industry, and while obviously that is a good for humanity as a total, it has been hard on the communities, and I think that like the legalization of marijuana would actually really, really help these struggling communities in the southeastern part of the state.
Yeah, big shift. That'd be really cool, because I could just see the South turning it like with weed,
big weed plantations.
I could honestly see it, because like, you know, that's what the South's economy was based so much around, agriculture and stuff like that. Well, you know, I mean, by means of yada yada,
henceforth and so on.
Henceforth and so on. A couple slavery, but
did a big old slavery down
big
there.
old slavery
They
happened.
did.
But their whole economy, because of that, was based around agriculture and stuff.
Yeah.
And then once that kind of shifted, and especially with the Industrial Revolution, and now in this tech era that we're in, you know, Silicon Valley can happen anywhere, I guess.
Yep.
I mean, there's some pretty shitty Wi-Fi in parts of Kentucky, but
we don't even have 5G in Pike County yet.
Really?
Yep. It's absolutely true.
I think Louisville might have Google Fiber.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, I think all this talk about weed and in the mountains, I think it might be time for an Appalachian anecdote. You know
Yes, of course. We've come to around the conclusion. Treyton, we've been yabbering for about 57 minutes.
Wow, look at us.
Yeah.
Let's
close this puppy off with
a little Appalachian anecdote. I'm gonna turn this over to the Possum Up a Gum Stump band. If you old boys back there would give me a little riff from down home, a little.
It's an Appalachian anecdote.
Welcome to the Appalachian Anecdote. I'm your host, Treyton Blackburn. I am a several so on and so forth generation Appalachian, here to bring truth and shame and dishonor upon my region. So, Evan, I've got two options for you for today's Appalachian Anecdote. I got one that's a blast of the past, okay, a very old Appalachian anecdote, or I've got one about little baby Treyton as a little baby boy. So you can take your pick as to what you wanna delve into this fine evening.
Have I heard either?
I don't think you've heard either of these.
Okay, let's get the blast from the past.
Blast from the past. Okay. So, as I said, I'm a several generations deep Appalachian. My family's been there for a very long time. And I was doing a play based on the Hatfields and the McCoys when I was in high school. Blood Song, the story of the Hatfields and the McCoys. It was performed in a place called McCarr, Kentucky, which is almost to West Virginia in Pike County. And we had a local historian working on the project called her name was Betty Howard. And this woman, I'm telling you, she was fiery as hell. Betty Howard is my fucking hero. I love Betty Howard so much. But Betty was, she's an older lady. I think she's still alive. I haven't heard that she passed.
Shout out Betty.
Shout out to Betty. But she was a local historian, and we got to be pretty close friends throughout the running of this production. She walked up to me and she said, "Treyton, what is your grandfather's name?" And I gave her my grandfather's name, and she was like, "I want to run your genealogy. I want to see if you've got any interesting people in your past." That's what she sounded like.
I'm sure you have some interesting people in your past.
I do have some. Well, that's where we're going. So
you don't just get shat out of nowhere.
Yeah, and so she told me to give her a list of my relatives as far back as I could remember and who I was related to. So I did, and we rehearsed, opened the show. It went well, and a couple weeks into the show, she came up to me. She's like, "I finally got the time to run your genealogy, and I actually found somebody I think you're going to think is very interesting." And I said, "Oh, Betty, do tell." And she said, "So back in the Civil War..."
What are you related to, Pennywise?
Yeah, she pulled out the picture.
Yeah, the picture.
The clown face just like
Yeah. You keep flipping pages. It gets closer and closer.
Yeah.
A balloon floats by.
So she's like, she opens up this document and she pulls out these records from like the 18 like 50s, 1860s.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Your however many great grandfather, this is his registration paperwork with the Union Army." Kentucky was a border state. There are people who fought for both sides of the war.
Mm-hmm.
Most of eastern Kentucky fought for the North. I don't know if you know that. Fought for the Union.
Yeah, most of Kentucky was on the right side of history, right?
Well, western Kentucky was, a very plantation-heavy.
Where I'm from.
Well, yeah. I mean, your people. I mean, you guys.
Yeah, I got roots.
But my people were great. No, well, and it wasn't even like from a moral standpoint. Most Appalachians at the time were probably against the idea of like the ending of slavery. They just, the slave economy wasn't huge to them. They didn't have huge plantations.
Yeah,
If you wanted. There were people who owned slaves, but for the most part, if you wanted somebody to work your farm, you'd have more kids. So she shows me this guy's paperwork. She's like, his name was William Blackburn, and they called him Monkey Will. And I said, "Monkey William Blackburn?" She said, "Yes, that's what they called him." And I said, "Why?" And this is what she told me. I don't know how true it is because, again, this is a local historian, so take this with a grain of salt. But she said they called him Monkey William Blackburn because during the Civil War there were you only kind of had one shot in your rifle, and then you had to switch back over to your handgun or use a bayonet to fight.
Yeah.
And so after he would fire off his rifle shot, he would scale up into trees and pull two revolver pistols and shoot down at the oncoming Confederate lines. And because he would scale trees like this, that's why they called him Monkey William Blackburn.
He's like Braveheart. He's up there with a bottle of or a pot of boiling gasoline or some
Yeah,
shit.
and I just want you to picture like me, like somebody who looks like me in a Union soldier uniform, just squirrel running up this tree and just bam, 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 go back home, Rebs.
I could totally see that.
And isn't it a miracle that guy survived to the end of the war to make me happen?
To tell that story.
Like, surely somebody on the rebel side looked up and was like, "Hey, he's up in the trees. Let's shoot him while he can't go anywhere."
Oh my God! So you have Spider Monkey in your in your blood.
And literally, like, everybody in the cast was around, and when she was like telling the story about Monkey Will Blackburn, like, everybody was like, "Yeah, that checks out. That that makes sense."
That
of course.
checks out. Yeah, I remember after the war that guy used to hang up in trees. Too.
Yeah. But that's today's Appalachian anecdote.
Eventually, we will get real music.
Yeah,
of some
100%.
sorts.
Okay,
so Treyton, I think this has been a good first episode.
Yeah, I've had a great time
of the Blackburn Pride experience.
The Blackburn Pride experience. That sounds bad. Like,
it is.
Putting Blackburn Pride together like that sounds bad. Let's not call it that. Let's not use that like running of words together.
So the name is still in the works.
Yeah.
But we will figure that out, and we will be back.
Yeah.
Chatting about more random shit, I
Yeah.
guess. And
How do we want to close this thing out? We gotta have a closer.
I don't know.
This has been. Wait, hold on. Okay, so I'll do my name, and then you're gonna do your name.
Okay.
And I'm gonna play something to feel it out.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay. I'm Treyton Blackburn,
I'm Evan Pride.
and don't touch that. It might bite.
Okay. That's enough of that.